In my last video, I talked about regret being one of the conversation starters for a lot of our classes and clientele this week. And another part of that regret conversation has pinpointed itself to how one was raised or taught, especially generational norms. And I'm particularly talking about the baby boomer generation. And for a lot of our clients, the through line had always been you are not to be seen, you're not to be heard. And what happens in our house stays in our house. And so when a parent from the silent generation has instructed their kids to, you don't say what you don't feel your feelings, you don't have an opinion, you are not to be seen, you're not to be heard. A lot of times, that same thought pattern and behavior is then passed down to their children. And that exact same baby boomer individual has set up a life personally, professionally, spiritually, emotionally, and even mentally around that construct. And so, one of the exercises I like to do in walking our clientele through looking at past without the blame or shame of their mom or dad is taking away actually that title of mom and dad. I help them understand. Let's look at your mother and your father by name. Maybe it's Mary, maybe it's Dave. How did you experience Dave? How did you experience Mary? Because when we have these titles and we have generational norms of what is acceptable in the house and what's not acceptable in the house, we tend to think that we're talking about our mother, our mommy, we're talking about our dad, our daddy, and not being able to offer an assessment of the person, the human behind the title. And so, if you are someone who's trying to really figure out your healing pattern, to understand what you want your retirement of life to be, and you're looking back at your professional life, those identity structures, and in particular, in this case, your personal life, what has caused you to have a lot of the emotions that you have, that has set up some of the behaviors that have been passed down to your children, and also that have constructed and controlled much of your life. Look at your parental structure from that mother and that father lens. If you look at Mary and from our example as a human, as a woman, as a spirit. If you look at Dave, daddy, as a male, as a human being, as someone who is a man living in the world or whatever those gender identity norms are. If you do that, it helps take away some of that blame, that shame, and also it helps assert a conversation of truth. And a lot of times we can then meet that truth not by the title or the judgments that we have of that person and them not executing a particular role, but we're able to see them and humanize them through the lens of being a human and having a human experience. And in that case, healing happens. We're able to see our own connection and storylines through our parents and be able to create not only healing for the generation that is following behind us, but healing for ourselves. And when we are healing or on a path towards healing, a lot of our decisions, a lot of our dream states, a lot of our goals, the things that we truly want for ourselves can be actualized. And we really understand it truly is just beginning and it's not too late. But we have to be willing to do the work and to ask ourselves some of the very hard questions without the blame, without the shame, and getting to the truth. And when we get to the truth, on the other side is a brand new pathway, not only just for you, but your family as well.